Well, hello there, everybody, and thanks for tuning in to episode 19 of the T.I.N.T podcast. Here at T.I.N.T, there is no template, and we're going to get into episode 19, and I'm Doug. This is my co-host, Mark, and thanks for tuning in. Before we get to the funny, because we like to get to the jokes around here, I just wanted to take a second to start the show because I think this is something important to be made note of. So it's at the end of May, and we're supposed to be coming out of the we're supposed to be getting some of our freedoms back. And so this podcast takes place in Chicago. That's our base of operations. Chicago is in Cook County, and it was about a week or two ago when it was reported that Cook County has the most U.S. cases of the thing that's going on, and in all of the U.S. Okay, so here's the thing. You want to look up the numbers. Cook County has about 5.2 million people. There's 63.7 thousand cases, 247 recovered, and the death count is at 2,889. Let's just round up to 3,000. Okay, so that's what they tell us. That sounds bad. It's terrible. But here's what doesn't add up. If you look at Hong Kong, so Hong Kong has 7.5 million people in a very tight-knit region, and they're literally living on top of each other. Now, when you look at those cases, they have 1,076. They have 1,034 recovered cases. And you know how many total deaths? 4. Just 4. So look, I'm the conspiracy guy, whatever you want to say.
The numbers are still the same?
The numbers are still the same. I literally checked it right before we did this. These numbers have been like this for weeks. Okay? I'm the conspiracy guy. Do I even believe those numbers? No. But they're presented as the actual numbers. So for many of you people, you should question that. Something doesn't add up. This thing's been running rampant since mid-November. They really started cracking down. When would you say? Late February, March, early March? So those months, just 7.5 million people running into each other, living on top of each other. They have 1,000 cases, 1,000 recoveries, and 4 deaths. Something doesn't add up. Is it just me?
See, I don't know if they should have more deaths or less deaths because of the fact that they are part of China now. Mm-hmm. But I don't know how many Chinese people actually get to go to Hong Kong. Not many Chinese get to go to Hong Kong. But
somebody's coming and going.
Yeah, I'm sure there are officials from the government.
And if it's as bad as they say, they literally shut the whole world down. Mm-hmm. Then all those people living on top of each other, it should be a lot worse. It should be a lot worse. Something doesn't add up there, and those are my 2 cents on this whole thing.
Even in India, it's so much less than it is here.
Yeah, India actually held out for a long time. Mm-hmm. Like it stayed like ridiculously low.
Yeah.
And then towards,
but still
towards
it's
the
low
end,
compared to the amount of people they have.
Exactly. It's still low, but Hong Kong is just ridiculous.
No, I agree.
Can't explain that one. So anyways, I thought that was important to mention. Guys, look into it. And I know a friend of a friend who his grandmother passed away in her 90s. They said, just natural causes. The death certificate comes back. C word, cause of death. The C word. That's terrible. Anyways, let's get to the funny.
Let's do it.
All right, so as you know on this show, we like to look at news stories that go on that are kind of silly, and this one kind of caught our eye. There was a report that 3 Bolivian boys, children, 3 children, they were prodding with a stick. They were poking at a black widow spider so that it would bite them, so that they would get superpowers, like Spider-Man.
I mean, it makes sense.
The logic is there. The logic is sound. But the problem is you need a radioactive spider.
See, they didn't know that part because
they jumped the gun.
Yeah, they jumped the gun. I mean, the Bolivian translation of the Spider-Man comic, very inaccurate. And it cost these boys dearly.
Yeah. Somebody got lazy with the translation, and now these 3 boys are in the hospital.
Exactly.
Because they thought it was real.
And they don't even have superpowers, so that's too it's like a double negative, It's First they got bit, poison injected. Second, they're like, so at least now are we Spider-Man? And the doctors have to be like, no, you're not Spider-Man.
No, you have all these horrible
side effects. You're probably going to die.
You guys got poisoned.
Yeah, poisoned.
What are you, nuts?
Yeah. But I got to tell you, that takes gumption. You just walk out into the wherever. I guess Black Widows are all over Bolivia. I don't know. I didn't look that up. Maybe they are.
I
maybe
didn't care to look.
But
they found one. That's all you need.
That's all you need. And they saw the little red marking, probably. You know what I mean?
Reminded them of Black Widow, the Avenger.
Or even in the movie, and that's the original Spider-Man movie with Maguire, where it had the little blue and red spider. They're like, whoa, it kind of looks like this. Close enough. They're like, hey, how many Spider-Man spiders can there be out there? These kids are thinking. It's like, this one looks close. Is there like a lot? Probably not. This one looks very much like the one we saw in the movie. And the other one's like, I don't know. It's like, where do you have balls?
Yeah, grow a pair of balls, Billy.
Or Pedro or whatever. And they're like, hey,
Pedro.
Yeah. We're gonna be Spider-Man. Okay, I want to be Spider-Man. Javier wants to be Spider-Man. Do you want to be Spider-Man?
See.
Then that's all it took.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Do you want to web sling and climb walls? See.
But unfortunately,
that's a bad call.
Yeah, it was a bad call.
It was an error of judgment.
I mean, I will be honest with you. If I was, 12, 10, and 8 or whatever, I'd be like, hey, this has got to work.
Maybe the 8-year-old.
Yeah.
Maybe even the 10-year-old.
But the 12-year-old.
But the 12-year-old was on board?
I don't know.
He
was the ringleader, definitely.
He must have been quarterbacking the whole thing. Right?
Telling the 8-year-old, hey, you want to be Spider-Man?
I swear to God, this is going to work. Look at me. Look into my eyes.
Yeah.
We're going to have superpowers, bro.
You're not going to be writhing in incredible pain. What's going to happen is you're going to have superpowers.
I know this has never happened before, except in a comic book.
Yeah. We're
going to be the ones. No one had the idea to do it.
I mean, they didn't know that. They did not know that. For all they thought that, Spider-Man might have been a documentary. And they're watching it. They go outside. They see a spider that looks pretty much the same.
Are we going to call bad parenting here?
Probably.
Probably
very bad parenting.
I guess the mom came outside and found them all just laid out. The spider was like, fuck you.
How many of them got bit? Did
Three
you
of
check?
them.
All three of them did it?
They were literally poking. Okay. Put your finger in.
And so it bit each one?
They were poking it with a stick.
No. What I mean, how many actually got bit?
All 3 boys.
So each one put his finger there to get bit.
Each one dumber than the next.
Yeah. At one point, they should be like, wow, this is incredibly painful.
The first one was the 8-year-old. Right? Because if you're quarterbacking this thing, you're the 12-year-old. You're almost a teenager. You practically are. What was his name? Pablo?
Yeah.
You're going first, bro. And then he got bit, and he was just like, I don't know about this. Don't listen to him.
He was probably writhing on the ground, and the 12-year-old's like, this is working.
This is what happens at first, because Spider-Man was sweaty and all messed up.
He's like, the muscles are going to be forming soon.
Tomorrow morning when we wake up in the hospital, we're going to be jacked with superpowers.
Who knows? Maybe that's how it went. The news isn't very accurate these days.
I agree with you there.
They could be web slinging their way to superstardom right now as we speak.
But they need. I don't know if they know this, but the webs don't come naturally. Peter Parker had to make the concoction in the formula, and so again,
that movie totally misled them.
Yeah. You think they're gonna sue?
I think
they should.
I really think they should. That would be the greatest case ever. These 3 boys watched a movie.
Young impressionable
boys thinking they could be Spider-Man.
Who doesn't want to upside down kiss a nice looking young lady?
Yeah, everybody wants that. You
everybody wants a Spider-Man kiss.
But that's very intense. I have to admit that's the kind of story you really don't think is going to happen. It's the kind of story where somebody tells you, "Hey, why don't you inject bleach and disinfectant?" And then people are on the phone like, "Should I inject bleach and disinfectant?"
Absolutely.
But those are adults.
Are you serious?
You know what I mean?
Is this a serious question?
Those are adults.
Is this a serious question? You want to put bleach in you? Then yes.
Yeah.
We don't need you.
But if you're a child, I can sort of see that. Like you say, the 12-year-old, but the 10 and 8-year-old, I could totally picture that. They're like, this is going to be our ticket to fame, fortune, Hollywood.
And I'll tell you this, thank God you kids didn't make it to Hollywood.
Yeah. Jesus.
You don't want to know what's going on over there with children.
Yeah.
It's the kind of story where you don't want anybody to get hurt, but you're kind of glad that it happened.
Except that they got hurt. That's, because
I hope they live, dude.
Yeah, well, they're thinking, hey, next stop, Avengerville,
Mm-hmm.
living with Thor and the Incredible Hulk. Mm-hmm. But that's not how it turns out. No. The reality of the situation is you got to find the right kind of spider. And it's got to be radioactive.
You got to wait outside of the lab, children.
You have to take the spider and dip it into radioactive
plutonium. You got to go near the plutonium.
Then you let it bite you. But it's not easy to get plutonium, and that's where these kids went wrong, I think.
Well, the other thing too is if the plutonium, you got to bring a bunch of spiders, because if the plutonium keeps killing the spiders, you're gonna be there all day.
Yeah.
You got to keep letting one of these spiders is gonna bite you as you spend your whole afternoon.
You can't give them too much radiation.
Plutonium.
So
it's the right amount.
It's
trial and error.
Yeah, well, it's trial and error, but it's also a lot of physics. So you're gonna probably want some sort of a physicist there to dip the spider the right amount, then put it on your skin, let it bite you, and then become Spider-Man, and then say thank you very much. And,
you think any kid could just go out in his backyard and become Spider-Man? It's not that easy, guys.
It's not that easy. No.
It takes a lot of the perfect storm.
It's really difficult. So if you're a child for some reason watching this podcast of 2 middle-aged men,
then you have bad parents.
You have bad parents.
Yep.
And don't let a spider bite you, because
unless it's been radioactive.
Even then, probably ask an adult.
If there's one around.
If there's one around. If not, go for it.
And so here we see yet again the dangers of Marvel movies.
Yeah. The dangers of it's,
people getting hurt, man.
Yeah, you see kids going into MRI machines trying to get the gamma ray burst to become the Incredible Hulk. You see kids
shooting steroids in their ass trying to be like Captain America. Running around.
Yeah. You see kids building mechanical suits and flying through the air and crashing into the ground and trying to be like Iron Man. That hurts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You strap about 9 drones to yourself.
There's about 10,000 cases of Marvel related
I would not be surprised.
Injuries.
I would not be surprised.
There's 9,000 recoveries, so
okay,
mostly everyone makes it.
Yeah, mostly.
They
come at night, mostly. Mostly, no. What is
Take it easy.
Mostly they come at night. Mostly. I think that's what it is.
That's what Newt said. That's a good movie, by the way.
That is a good movie.
It holds up. You know what my favorite part about that movie?
What?
That they, I wonder if we talked about this before. Who cares? Nobody watched it. Anyways.
Nobody watched it. We probably didn't even put that out.
No. My favorite part about Aliens is that they took a Jewish woman and spray painted her up so that she could be the tough Latina chick.
Yeah. Because, right now is the time where you come out and you say, I'm sorry about the blackface.
Jimmy Fallon.
Brave of you.
Yeah, brave of you.
We mentioned this before, but never has it happened where me, you, or somebody came in contact with someone who were just randomly in blackface. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I'm in blackface, and then later on, oh, I blew it that one time.
I guess that was not appropriate for me to do that time. Oh, never. Yeah, I mean, never.
Yeah. How about we never do that?
I'm still waiting for Jimmy. What's his name? Jimmy Kimmel's apology.
Yeah.
Look that one up, guys. Everybody wants to be triggered about something. Yeah. Jimmy Kimmel is Karl Malone.
I did not. I will admit, I did not remember that he put on makeup for that. I remember he played the character, but I guess
he put on full makeup. He had the jersey on. He had a black body, black face. They put on the prosthetic, hair or whatever, lack of hair. But yeah, that's pretty. If you're looking for something to be offended by, that's a good one.
Yeah.
And he used to be on the Man Show where he would have girls just jumping up and down on trampolines.
That was fun, though.
With the breasts just going, not wearing bras.
I love that for some reason. That was nice. That was the best ending to a show ever. There's so much stuff that just couldn't happen nowadays. We just watched a whole routine by George Carlin about how rape is funny. Wouldn't fly today.
Wouldn't fly at all. And yet somehow he made it work.
He made it work.
But that was a different time. Different audience.
Yeah, different audience. Nowadays, everybody wants to be offended. You know what I mean?
I think they would have made a citizen's arrest on him.
I probably. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But whatever. That's fun. That's fun to talk about. Radioactive spiders and stuff.
Gullible children. When will they learn?
Okay, so as you said, we live in the city of Chicago. The city of Chicago, for those of you who don't know, is probably the most corrupt city in the United States. And that's
like Gotham City.
It's way worse than Gotham City.
With the supervillains.
Yeah.
There's no Batman. That's the problem.
No Batman. But they do road work all the time.
Except for where they need to do road work.
Except for, our streets suck. They are horrible. There are potholes everywhere. There are third world countries where the roads are as smooth as a baby's behind. But here, they are pockmarked. They are just horrible.
The potholes that'll ruin your car.
Seriously. Like there's a way to sue the city just based on potholes because of how many people get into like serious accidents or have serious car trouble because of
they go deep down into the friggin'.
And so all the time you see people working on these roads, and yet like 2-3 years later, it's all back. All the holes are back. It's like they don't know what they're doing, or maybe they're doing inferior work so that later on they can do more work.
Well, so that can't be possible.
Unemployed.
That can't be possible because that almost sounds like a conspiracy.
It almost sounds like some kind of a
there's no way that could be a thing.
Kind of deal.
It's just a funny coincidence.
Yeah,
that happens.
On the blocks around where we live, there are signs. And they don't let you park. It's a tow zone. So from 9 a.m. to about 4:30 p.m., there is no parking. But here's the problem. They don't do any work there.
Nothing's getting done.
Nothing is done. There's just those signs.
The signs are there. They might come out one day, jack everything up, and then be like, all right, we'll see you in 3 weeks.
We'll see you in 3 weeks if you're lucky.
But don't park there.
That's why the sign is like, oh, you can't park for these 6 months. We're going to show up one day, probably in the 5th month somewhere. We're going to do a little bit, and then possibly you can park there, possibly not, because there's going to be a giant hole or crater.
We don't know. And what's crazy, too, is now they're adding more signs on top of the other signs of, like, other spots.
Yeah.
So there's like a whole street that you can't park, right? And now they're taking out the other street for different reasons. And that's from like 6 a.m. to 6 in the evening where nobody's doing anything. And then they had street cleaning.
Yeah. I didn't get a ticket. I just want to say that. That has never happened in this city. If you park your car somewhere where they're cleaning the street,
That's that ass.
they give you a ticket. It's going to be $150 ticket every time. I didn't get a ticket this time. Nobody else. Nobody.
Crazy.
Yeah, I think because of the COVID. Oh
The
shit!
C word.
Damn. But I think that's the reason. I think that because I can't think of anything
Well,
else.
somebody was out there putting the signs up.
Yeah, I saw the guy.
Signs everywhere.
I saw that guy putting up the signs. I forgot what I said to him. I said some smart ass comment to him as I drove.
No.
Away. Yeah.
Not you.
But yeah, he was putting up the signs, you know, and yet the work doesn't get done. There's nothing. We have these cameras. Okay, if you're driving too fast in a school zone,
You're popped.
you're popped. You get a ticket. You know, sometimes they give you a warning. Sometimes they don't give you a warning.
I got a warning for going 4 miles over the speed limit. I was doing 34 and a 30 in at 9:30 at night near a park.
Yeah, I got one warning, and then I drove near a park, completely different location. I guess that first warning counted because the second time I got ticketed.
Well, you should have learned your lesson.
Except that I didn't know that there was a camera there, so there was no way I would have. It was just I was oblivious of the camera, and I got a ticket. It came, and there is no way you're going to be able to fight that. No way, because
they got you.
The
Dead to
machine
rights.
is never wrong. Like when you get stopped by a cop, the cop sort of okay, maybe you did this, maybe you did that, but when it's a camera, it's like
There's no wiggle room.
No wiggle room. It's like you were traveling this fast, you violated whatever it was, you have a ticket, you're going to pay it.
And I don't know about you, but I think that sucks.
Yeah.
And I hate the cameras.
Because the politicians work for us, and yet the politicians are the ones who put up these
Gouge
cameras.
us for money.
The contracts for these cameras go to companies, which then make money off of it, and then they give kickbacks. Oh, excuse me. No, they don't give kickbacks because that's illegal to the politicians, who then are crooked as all.
They're good citizens.
We have the worst politicians in just the worst. Like every other week, it's somebody's going to jail, somebody's corrupt, somebody's working with the mafia, somebody's, kicking a baby down the street. It's
Lori Lightfoot. Shame on you for doing that.
Yeah, why did you have to kick that baby? No, she didn't kick a baby, but maybe one day. You know, you never know.
The jury's still out.
Yeah, the jury's still out. I'm glad Blagojevich got out, though. I will admit, I'm glad that Blagojevich got out because he said some things. He said well, I got this position that Barack Obama vacated. Vacated it. Oh, it's golden. And they're 14 years. And then you have people murdering and raping, and they're well, we'll give them 5-6 years.
What's that thing that they do that's real bad? Pedophilia?
Yeah. That doesn't
You're
sometimes
fine.
it doesn't get 14
Slap on
years.
the wrist. Probation.
That's if Donald Trump ever did a good thing, it's letting that horrible man out of jail. Back with his family.
His hair is white now because he couldn't dye it.
Yeah. Well, I gotta tell you, he just got way too many years. I could have understood 3, 4, 5 years, right? But
Yeah, what he did was
14
wrong.
years?
It was illegal.
14 years.
When you compare that to some of the other crimes
Yeah.
that people do time for.
Manslaughter and stuff where people get nowhere near that time. And they get time off for good behavior. But when you're doing federal time, you got to do day for day.
Yeah. Well, long story short, parking sucks in Chicago.
Don't park in Chicago. Don't even come to Chicago. It's a horrible place. It's cold. People
Don't
murder
listen
you.
to him. Don't
People
listen
are
to him.
murdering you left and right. I got murdered 3 times last weekend. Okay? No, there was 10 homicides over the Memorial Day weekend.
That's light.
Yeah, that's an easy week. That's that's barely noticed. You know what I mean? But I will admit, if you're not involved in the drug trade, you're probably not going to get murdered. But if you are, you're going to get murdered.
There are wonderful places in Chicago.
Yeah.
I love the city. It's just, the people in charge, as per usual.
Exactly.
screw it all up.
And please, if you're going to sell drugs, you got to have the backup. You got to have the muscle with you. You know what I mean? You got to have enough guns. You can't just be doing this willy-nilly.
It's like, what are you going to
do it the right way?
You going to let a spider bite you to get superpowers? You can't. You got to think it out.
Think it through.
Think it through.
Yeah. You got to align yourself with the right cartel. Am I going to go with the Zetas or am I going to go with the oh, well, now I can't think of the other guys' names.
Well, those guys are going to kill you now. I said when we started this,
don't mention the cartel.
Those were Mark's point. Gods, I have nothing to do with that.
Okay. I love you guys.
No matter which one it is. Mm-hmm. So look, moving on. There's a story going on in the news right now that is everywhere. We're not going to touch it. It's very divisive. You guys know what I'm talking about, most likely.
In the future, they're not going to have any clue what we're talking about. Maybe they might have a clue if they're watching it now, but something happened to them. They ended up dead, and somewhere in a city in Minnesota, there were some riots. Okay, so
and that's our take on that.
In the year 2020, we're trying not to.
No, because people get upset and people have different.
No.
It's just a whole thing, and so
we're going to
talk about a different story. Yeah, kind of a positive story, kind of a funny story.
In a way,
I thought it was hilarious. It took place on a bridge between Missouri and Kansas. This was Wednesday morning. Yeah. Somebody drove up and got out of his car with a rifle.
Mm-hmm. And a handgun.
And just started opening up, shooting at cars. And you're thinking, Doug, why is that funny? To me, it's funny because this guy didn't realize that one of those people in the car was Master Sergeant David Royer. And he saw what was going on. And he's like, I got to do something. And he's like, this was the first thing instinctual. Oh, yeah, he was on the phone.
He's on the phone with his wife. They're like talking it up. All of a sudden, he sees some guy pop out the car with 2 guns. And he's like, baby, call 911.
I got to handle some shit. So he hung up the phone. By the way, he was on speakerphone. Yep. He was safely on the phone. We will say that. Hands-free, and then what he did with his feet, he slammed on the accelerator and used his car as a weapon to run the guy over. He crashed. He slammed into him with his car.
As hard as he could. Just ran the guy right over.
He ran him right over and pinned him under his car.
He jumps out the car, he looks, and he's like, the guy's not there. It's like, where is this guy? And then he has to go around to the back, and he's like, I see the rifle. I don't see the guy.
It's a real conundrum.
Yeah, sure enough, the guy's underneath, still with a handgun, waving it around, but you know what I mean? He was in no condition. At that point, he had been run over by a car. Which made it difficult to do anything.
So funny to me. And the guy, maybe the guy might have given him a shot or two. We don't know. But I say green light. You know what I mean?
At that point, that's
he starts shooting people and whatever. I know what I allegedly may or may not have done.
He took 2 shots off of his rifle, and this guy's not thinking. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Oh, what about this? What about that? He's like, I need to handle this situation to keep the casualty count to a minimum. Step on the gas.
Run him over.
Yeah, that was a move.
Again, the police show up, they arrest the guy, whatever. It's a whole thing. They're like, "Oh my God, you did the whole thing." He's like, I just, I'm just me. He went home, he had dinner, he cut the grass, he went to bed. He said, "What are you guys worried about?"
Yeah.
I got chores.
That was this quote in the paper next day. Hey, I'm mowing the grass. What you guys worried about?
You cut the grass.
Yeah.
You got to take the clippings out.
But that's pretty cool. I have to admit that's one of those stories where it ended well, as opposed to like another tragic shooting where like 20 innocent people who were just waiting around got killed.
These things that happen there. So
this is the man. He says he's not a hero, but
he knows he is.
He knows he's a hero. He knows deep down. He saved lives. Yeah, he saved lives, and it's a hilarious story because a very bad man got very badly injured, and nobody died.
And that's awesome.
That's a good day.
If you're Mrs. Royer, maybe you're going to think about doing a little something extra in the behind closed doors.
Yeah. You're like,
maybe there's that one thing he wants to do that you were always like, no.
No, wait.
I think maybe it's time. I think maybe it's time. And the Royers know what I'm talking about. I don't even know what I'm talking about.
I don't know what you're talking about.
But they know what I'm talking about. And he deserves whatever that weird thing is that he wants to do.
We salute you, Master Sergeant.
Great job.
That I wish there were more stories like that. I wish there were more stories of like, oh, somebody, jumped out and tried to like shoot innocent people, and like, I don't know, a guy in a helicopter just ran and, speared him with one of those, whatever they're called, the things that a helicopter lands on, just like right through his spine.
Their legs?
I don't know what they are.
I don't know either.
But, like.
But yeah, I get the image. Impaled him.
I impaled him, and you know what I mean?
And good stuff like this happens.
It happens
all the time.
All the time.
But what, don't you see that
Every
on?
other day.
The media.
News.
You never see it reported on.
Never.
That's why I'm surprised this one was reported on. The only reason I think is because it was a potential, another shooter.
Yeah, it was another shooter, and
just
all
turned
those
out,
witnesses, and they're like, wow, this guy.
They're like, damn, we have to report on this.
Yeah, we have to. We're forced.
We were hoping for more darkness and mayhem.
Yeah. There was a call to the deep state, and the deep state's like, no, we're not letting this out. And then they're like, but sir, a lot of witnesses saw it. Like, God damn it. The deep state does not approve.
Fine.
But that's
they win this round.
Yeah, they win. But it was a great story.
Mm-hmm.
It's the feel-good story of the year.
It's the feel-good
people are saying
running over of a man.
I'm saying that, yeah.
If you ever want someone run over and then feel good about it, this is the story.
The story.
This is the story.
There's not a lot of stories where like, oh man got run over. You're like, Jesus Christ.
Most of the time, it's not good.
He was an active shooter. And you're like, what?
Oh, nice.
Wow. What happened? Is that a virus?
No. It's
did your computer get a virus?
It's just being rude because we know.
Yeah, it knows we're recording.
Silence.
Yeah.
But yeah, good stuff there.
All right.
Good stuff there.
I think we're going to get to the last story, which is probably one of the most impressive stories of a human man.
This one's crazy.
Yeah, this is a true story of a gentleman.
Russian man.
Yeah.
Named Alexander Viktorovich Solonik.
Yes.
Did I say that right?
Solonik.
Whatever, dude. He was a Russian gangster and known for his reputation as a notorious contract killer in the Russian criminal world, also known as the Macedonian, the super killer, and Valerianic.
Whatever.
Fine. He was involved in the Russian mob for much of the 90s until disappearing after his second escape from prison. Second
escape from prison, not his first escape.
His first.
Second.
Found dead in Athens, Greece in 1997. So we're just getting a little bit of this.
That's just that's a taste.
Overall.
Taste,
let's get into some of the details here.
Let's do it. Read the thing. It's such a good story.
Mm-hmm. So he was born in 1960 in Kurgan, Soviet Union. Kurgan. As a child, he showed great interest in martial arts and firearms. Red flag?
Yeah.
Maybe not. With the right direction.
Yeah, or maybe a future Soviet premier.
Maybe a future Soviet super killer. Yeah. Maybe.
One of the two.
He didn't have the guidance. When he was finishing school, he went to the Soviet Army and was assigned to a tank regiment. After his tour ended, he joined the police.
Of course he did.
Because, everything's fine so far.
Yeah.
Everything's fine so far.
How come it's the most, the people who've had the most traumatic stress when serving in the military go straight into the police?
I don't know, but I know this. I know I've been looking at how many serial killers were in the military. Look that shit up. I know. Kind of weird. Especially when you know about MK Ultra. Anyways, so he was in the police, and again, so far seems like, okay, this all makes sense. Cool. However, after just 6 months, he was expelled for extreme violence towards suspects.
Youch. Yeah.
So that's a problem.
And this, we're talking about Soviet Russia.
in the 80s.
Yeah, in the 80s. Being like,
Or 70s.
whoa, guy, you're being too violent with these criminals. For us, the Soviet Union.
Now, guys, think about that, though.
Where, like, if you, like, spit on the street, they put you in the gulag.
They'll crack you in the head with a damn stick. This guy was too much for them.
Yeah.
After just 6 months. He wasn't even off probation.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, that's too good to be
That's
true.
pretty crazy. That is crazy. So then he's like, I'm too much for them.
Every suspect he must have killed. And they're like, Jesus Christ,
It
you're
must
killing
have been-
every suspect. This is too much for us.
It must have been murder every
Yeah,
time.
every
Or
time.
damn near murder. Every time.
Oh, my God.
So then he gets a job as a gravedigger.
This can't be real.
That's a little...
It's a little on the nose.
Listen, the guy had his passions, and he was what
He wants to be near dead bodies in one way or
in
another.
one way or another. Any way he can. So then he gets married.
Yes, of course.
I don't know if that lady knew or didn't know that he was
in love.
a little bit much.
Yeah.
And then she gave
He's actually a
birth.
good-looking dude. You look at his picture. He's not a bad-looking guy. And, you know.
He looks like, you don't watch Shameless.
No.
But if you watch Shameless, he looks like Mickey.
Okay.
And Shameless.
I mean, he's not a horrible-looking man,
No, he
but
looks
he's just
somewhat
a
sane.
violent, horrible human.
He looks somewhat sane. So then he had a son. They got divorced. He married another woman. He had another kid.
Yeah.
And then in 87, he was charged with rape.
Yes. Not nice.
Which, sorry, George Carlin, it's not
Yeah.
funny anymore.
Not funny anymore.
And sentenced to 8 years. Why am I laughing? And then sentenced to 8
It's only
years.
funny if it's done by a clown. That's what they say all the time.
After the rape, he was sentenced to 8 years in prison. During a farewell meeting with his wife before he was imprisoned, Solonik escaped by jumping from the second floor of the building, Ted Bundy style. And after several months, he was apprehended 120 miles north of where he was born and taken to prison.
Ugh.
That's just the start.
That's like, yeah, that's
Let
the
me take a
start of his
sip.
career.
We're just getting started here. Nothing's crazy yet.
Yeah, no, that's he's just warming up. This is insane. He was dead at the age of 36. So this is in his life. He did all this banana stuff
It was pedal to the metal for this guy.
all the time.
For Alexander. No matter what the situation was, he's going to get crazy. All right, so when he was in prison, now this is after he escaped once. They nabbed him up. They put him in solitary confinement because he was a policeman. And later they transferred to serve his prison sentence, but they put him in general population with the other. Yeah, they ended
don't
up.
like cops in Soviet prisons.
How about when you're the most violent cop that there
Probably gonna let
was?
you even less.
They might not like that.
No.
So at first they were like, then they were like, who cares? So then they put him with everybody, and then when they found out, he was marked for death, naturally.
Of course he was.
According to this is a rumor, Solonik defended himself against as many as 12 inmates at a time.
Get out of here.
That's a lot. Earning the respect of his fellow prisoners after 2 years of imprisonment, he escaped again.
These Soviet prisons, for some reason, just don't sound all that good or,
But look,
sound.
12 guys at a time? Most likely not.
Probably not 12
Probably
guys at
not.
a time. Probably
Maybe,
that's a
but
little
probably not.
exaggeration. But hey, even if it was like 3 or 4 guys at a time, still impressive.
If you're marked for death,
Yeah.
and they're going to be coming after you, and apparently he was whooping some ass,
Yeah.
man. He was whooping some ass. So he escapes, and the first time when he escaped, he was found near his hometown birthplace, right? Mm-hmm. He escapes this time. Now he goes directly there.
Yeah, of course.
Because, he only knows what he knows.
Yeah, he knows what he knows.
And
He knows where he got to go.
He is what he is. Then now he's like, well, fuck it. Now what am I doing? Mm-hmm. So he joins the local criminal organization.
He has to.
Naturally started work as a hitman.
Yes.
So
he's good at what he does, and people see it.
This is all tracking. This all makes sense. His past, hitman.
Yeah.
Here we go. So his first target is the leader of a rival organization. He murdered him in T.I.N.T.
What?
What was that one? Doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
After this hit, Solonik went to Moscow with other members of his crew and for looking for work. And then in 92, he assassinated Russian thief-in-law Viktor Nikiforov. And then 6 months later, he murdered another important Russian mob boss. Here's the thing, though.
He's not killing like regular people. He's killing mob bosses. Like
he's going after the top dogs.
I know.
Like he's making a name. You know. And then the other thing is, he's killing other people.
Of course, all the time, I'm sure. And this is during the Soviet era, where like the only people who controlled shit were the people in charge of the politicians and stuff, and then the mafia. So he's going after like big fish, and apparently he's just killing left and right.
You think if someone starts with him at the bar, it's going to end without murder?
No, it is not going to end without murder.
It's going to end with murder.
Yeah.
This time, okay, so he killed that important Russian mob boss. This time, the victim was thief-in-law Valery Dlugats, who was shot. He shot him in a crowded nightclub, even though he was surrounded by bodyguards.
I need to know what this thief-in-law shit means.
It's like a lieutenant, maybe something like that. But he shoots the guy in a crowded nightclub, even though the guy was surrounded by bodyguards. You guys are all fired.
Yeah. Somebody got a real
You're
talking
terrible.
to after that one. Someone got dressed down.
Listen, that's like who's gonna let them work again?
Nobody. It's like, you let your boss die? No, I'm sorry.
You had one job.
Yeah.
That's like Bush's cousin had the security firm for Oklahoma.
Really?
That got bombed.
Mm-hmm.
You know what their other job was?
What?
World Trade Centers.
Not good. That's
why you fire them after the first time.
That's 2 strikes. Third strike, and you are really out.
They were in charge of the C word. They let it escape.
I guess that's the 3rd strike.
You guys are done. Yeah, so those guys are fired. And then in 19, and he's having the time of his life, people.
He really is.
Yeah. So then in 94, it was reported that he tried to extort money from another Russian mobster.
He's like, I'm going to kill you, and your bodyguards aren't going to be able to save you.
He's like,
give me some money.
Here's the thing. I'm known for murder.
Uh-huh.
There was one rape.
Yeah.
That was reported. But nobody knows about that. No. But, I don't want to be a one-trick pony.
Yeah.
I got to add some other stuff to the...
Extortion.
A little extortion. What am I, not going to extort the guy? So then so then the guy made a phone call to settle the extortion, and then Solonik, he didn't even know who the guy was. He identified him as Otari Kavantravili or whatever the hell, one of the most powerful mobsters in Russia.
Uh-huh.
He's trying to extort him.
Uh-huh.
He's got a friggin' team of people.
Move. He's getting a lot of people mad who later on probably are not going to be like, live and let live.
At some point, other people are going to be like, it's a bit much.
Yeah.
What you're doing is a lot.
Right,
and so he was unable to extort money from the guy. And then several weeks later, he just friggin' killed him in revenge.
Nice. This is just,
What?
Come on, man.
He should have. See?
It's funny because why are we laughing? Because they're all horrible human beings.
Oh, it's, horrible people killing horrible people. there was, the one rape. The one rape.
All right.
Other ones that were probably not reported. Yeah. But let's get back to the horrible people getting killed. And then again, that guy's advisor should have just advised, you're fired. You should have just advised him to pay him the money, and now he ended up killing him.
Hey, he killed like 9 bosses already. Well, the bodyguards can't stop him. Why don't you just pay him? He's like, I'm not going to pay him.
He's the evil John Wick.
Yeah.
So like...
this is John Wick.
What? Yeah.
Tell me this ain't John Wick.
This pretty much is. So then, like, my thing is, that mobster guy was like, he wasn't like, this dude's trying to extort me?
Listen,
kill this motherfucker.
That's what I'm saying. This guy,
killing a guy?
He's like, he didn't pay me. He's sitting out there probably with a rifle, like, just waiting for
this. As soon as he hung up the phone, pop. This guy is nuts, dude. He's out of control.
Keep going.
So then, Okay, well, now they're saying that story might be doubtful as other people from a gang unrelated to him were convicted of that dude's murder.
Okay, whatever.
But I'd like to think that he did it.
Yeah, I like to, in our hearts, we still believe.
We still believe. So by this time, he had become infamous among the criminal underworld.
It took a while for it to take.
But now people are like, this guy.
Yeah.
And then, so in the criminal underworld and the cops are like, this guy. And so law enforcement took a special interest and made several attempts to catch him. Now, remember, he's escaped for his second time.
Yeah.
He should have never been doing any of this. So then Solonik and a fellow criminal were apprehended by Moscow police when they were having a drink at a marketplace, but the police failed to search him thoroughly, and he opened fire in the police station with a small automatic weapon, which he concealed under a raincoat. People.
No,
what?
This is not real. This is not real. This guy, come on. And then the cops have to write this report.
Oh my God, dude. Hey, assholes.
Yeah.
Did you know who that was? Search him thoroughly.
Search him. You searched him once, search him twice. Just be
Search
sure.
him twice, man. He's killing left and right. So he shot 3 policemen, and then he ran outside where he shot 2 more cops.
Oh my God.
Can you imagine? You're walking up, you're like going to start your day.
Start your day at work.
Oh, man, I got the donuts. I don't know if we have them in Russia, but I got whatever Russians have for donuts. Pow! You're shot.
Jesus Christ.
So then, they shot his ass, and then he was cornered, but he managed to hold them back.
Uh-huh.
And eventually he was overpowered and surrendered, being sent to Moscow prison.
Again.
He underwent an operation to remove a bullet in his kidney.
Okay.
I thought that was just in the movies. Don't they always say you don't need to take the bullet out?
No, you always have to take the bullet out.
No, you never take the bullet out.
You always take the bullet out.
That's just in the movies. That's just in the movies. In 95, he escaped prison again.
These are the worst prisons.
What the fuck? So then he escaped again when his jailer, Sergei Menshikov, rumored to be a mob sleeper agent, there you go,
yeah.
gave him a pistol and climbing equipment. Hey, nice. Sergey, why are you bringing the climbing equipment in? I'm just going to, on my lunch break, I'm going to do some climbing. Oh, my God. So not only did he bring him a gun and climbing equipment, he must have brought him a mannequin, because that's what he put under the blanket of his bed to delay pursuit.
Wow.
A mannequin.
Where did he get a man? Where do they have like fashion shows or fashion displays in prisons?
This is crazy.
Where like people are like walking by, it's like, ooh, that's nice.
This is a John Wick movie.
No, this is a movie that needs to be made.
This is a movie.
And yet it's somehow, as evil as it is, it's a comedy.
Yeah. No, yeah, there's movies like that. There's dark comedies for sure. This one's up there. This is one of the craziest stories I've ever heard.
Make it fun. You don't need to make it goofy or funny.
No, just say what happened.
I will be laughing my ass out just them telling the story.
So the mannequin. He puts a mannequin under the bed?
Yeah.
I did that when I was a kid. I had a big-ass teddy bear, and I hated going to school. Mm-hmm. So I thought in my brain I could escape this by putting the teddy bear under the covers, and it did delay the pursuit of me.
For a few seconds.
Yeah, a few precious seconds. Ultimately, I was done for. So then he put the mannequin in the bed.
Sure.
He used this climbing equipment to rappel down from the prison roof.
Of course.
And this time he had very limited hiding places in Russia, as his name and face were known to the authorities and general public. But he managed to disappear without being reapprehended.
No way.
Got away.
Wow.
Eventually, Solonik resurfaced in Greece with a fake passport, which he secured from the Greek consulate in Moscow.
So he shows up at the Greek consulate. This guy is murdered
John Wick
left
style.
and right, and he's like, "Hey, can I go to Greece?" And they're like, "Well, why not?
Don't.
You want to see the Greek Isles?
Hey, go for it. Just don't kill me."
Don't kill. Yeah, please don't kill me.
In Greece, Solonik set up his own organization of around 50 men, which
no.
It's not done.
Oh my God.
Jesus, he's like, I know the best thing for me to do. Not lay low. No.
I'll be the boss of my own organization.
I just whacked my head. I would start my own crew with 50 guys. All right.
And it's not a small crew. It's not
it's huge.
4 or 5 guys.
You don't think one of those guys would be like, hey, this mother.
Yeah.
You gonna trust 50?
Huge reward from the Soviet Union if I only. Oh, but wait, who is this? Okay, never mind.
Then again, he is John Wick, and he will find a way to kill you. Jesus Christ. So this crew he sets up, they dealt in drug smuggling and, you guessed it, contract killings.
Of course.
Because it's just special to him in his heart. It is corazon.
Yeah.
And he bought several villas in an Athens suburb. So he just set up like his
Not
own
just
little...
one, several.
He set up his own little...
Unreal.
Mobster town. Solonik's reputation now grew to legendary proportions with the public, and he was featured in Russia's top 10 most wanted
No
list.
kidding. How is he not number 1?
Who is number one?
If he's only in the top 10, I want to see number 1.
There's 9 other better stories than this, dude. What?
Oh my God. This is the best. This is the best story ever.
This is fun. I hope people stay and watch this.
Yeah, because
in February '97,
we should have opened with this.
I know. I
this
did.
is the hero.
You know what? It's been a while since I looked at this, and you talked about this, so I forgot how crazy it was. In February '97, Greek newspapers published articles that claimed a Russian mob boss had been found dead 15 miles from Athens. The body of the mobster was found strangled to death, and he had no identification. Hold on. He had no identification documents, though the authorities nevertheless identified the body as Alexander Solonik.
Oh, no. Well.
I don't know, man. I don't know. In the weeks after Solonik's body was found, Greek authorities raided the villas belonging to his organization and found an arsenal of weapons. Mm-hmm. They also discovered that Solonik had been hired to carry out a hit in Italy before his death, John Wick style. So that is the life and times of Alexander Solonik.
He is...
What a riot.
He is amazing. And then, I'm surprised. Who strangled him to death? How did they get him? I'm surprised they didn't need like 50 bullets. Like Rasputin, they needed to shoot him, poison him, throw him in a river, set him on fire.
Something don't make sense there. Something doesn't add up to me there. But the other thing, too, is it's not like...
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
It's not like he was going to let... Don't hurt us.
Yeah, don't hurt us.
It's not like he was going to lay low, though.
No, he was not going to lay low.
So maybe it was him.
A 50-man crew. Do you understand this? It's not like, you'd figure, okay, maybe he has like 6 guys who he really trusts. And like,
yeah. And then you work for... No.
Yeah.
50 people?
But I can imagine...
arrogance.
I can imagine his legendary status is like, who am I going to be working for? Alexander Solonik. I was like, well, all right, I'm in. I am in.
Yeah.
I am a horrible human being and a criminal, and I want to be with the best.
He's the Michael Jordan.
He is the Michael Jordan of evil.
Contract killings. Good Lord.
Wow.
What a damn maniac.
Yeah. And he did all this. He died at the age of 36.
Dude. He was going hard in the paint every day. Some people talk a lot.
Yeah.
And they don't do much.
No.
This guy...
He didn't say anything.
He didn't say a word.
Everything.
He gave you that look, and you knew it was go time, man.
But can you imagine, like, you don't know who this guy is, and he's like talking really loud at the end of the bar, and you're like, could you just please calm down? Could you take it down a notch?
He gets tough, you get tough. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, what are you gonna do? He didn't want to find out.
So many murders on the side, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So many murders on the side.
Sure.
Murders not even for money, like you say, at the bar, at the racetrack,
for the love of the game,
in the bathhouse, red heat style. He ended up fighting in the snow with just a towel on, in the freaking Russian mountains, killing people.
I think Schwarzenegger's character is based on
probably a lot of characters. Yeah, that definitely.
No, but
was.
tell me that doesn't sound like a little like John Wick.
As I was reading it, I was like, this is a John Wick movie.
Yeah. That's incredible. See, when they make these movies, they don't realize that the true stories are so much better. Like they could have fabricated the Tiger King documentary and made it a movie, but the true story, oh my God, that was poetry.
Yeah.
In motion.
That was
Beautiful.
Crazy.
Wow.
I mean, in the right hands, I bet you that would be a friggin' insane movie.
That'd be the greatest movie ever. And I think we know who should direct it.
Hey, look.
Us.
Yeah. Reported here first.
Whew. So if you're a Hollywood studio, you
Yeah.
heard this story and you're like, holy cow, these
Give
guys know what they're talking about.
Give us an unlimited
Give us
budget.
a budget,
and we will
maybe
give
we'll
you
make the
a
movie.
masterpiece.
Maybe, if we feel like it.
We'll make the movie.
Probably we will. All right, so that's another episode. Can you believe that? That's another good old fashioned 1 hour of your day gone. You're never getting it back.
Well, you enjoyed yourself. I'm certain of that, and I thank you, every single one of you, for watching. Please subscribe. Please tell your friends. Tell everybody.
Tell more people.
We're
Our views
trying
are
to
going
do
down the drains. Why aren't you telling more people? Grab them. Like, watch the show.
Don't shout it like
Okay,
that.
don't shout that. Don't.
I'm telling you.
Well,
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Thanks. We'll see you next time for more fun in the sun. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in.